What is up, guys? Welcome back to the flight deck. And I just want to take some time to sum up what happened today on the two flights with the F4. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to watch those videos. They were interesting, to say the least. First off, let me go back to my previous video, which was the F4, or Safe Select saved my F4, and I thought the problem with that flight was maybe I grabbed the plane before the gyro had a chance to initialize, and that's what made everything wacky. Well, that wasn't it. That definitely was not what happened. Today, the first flight, you saw it. Hopefully you've seen it. 45 degrees straight up. All the trim that I had to get the plane to fly level, and the only reason the plane flew level was because I was about 40 or 45% throttle. The plane did fly pretty well, though, as you can see in that first video. Once I backed off on the throttle a little bit. The second flight, what happened? Let me tell you what I did. So I brought the plane down. I put some marks. Hopefully you guys can see this. I put a mark right there on both sides of the elevator, so I had a reference point. And so I don't know if you guys know this. I just learned this today. The way you get to the elevator servo to adjust it is you have to pull the rudder off. I did not know that. But yeah, you have 3 screws to pull the rudder off, and that enables you to get to the elevator servo and the linkage. So what I did was I pulled the servo horn completely off the servo, 4 or 5 turns out, and then put it back on, zipped everything back up. And the second flight, I actually probably went 1 turn too many, because it actually had a little nose down once I got off the runway and got it in the air. So about 4 or 5 clicks of trim managed to level that off. And the second flight, I was able to fly it at full throttle for the first time, and that's probably my 4th or 5th flight on it. And I was able to fly at full throttle for the first time. I'm going to tell you what, that jet right there will move through the air. And so the issue on the second flight with landing with no flaps, and we'll talk about that mix in a little bit, but now I've got and I don't know where this came from. A nose down when I drop gear. I mean, it is really pronounced nose down. And that's what I was fighting on that landing on the second flight, because I did not land with flaps on the second flight. I did land with flaps on the first flight, and I think that kind of counteracted the nose down pitch when I dropped gear. But I'll tell you what, that nose down pitch with no flaps when you drop gear, at least for me, as you can see, maybe can't see it when I first drop them, but you can definitely see when I turn on final and get close to the runway what a nose down pitch that I'm fighting. So that was a handful on that second landing. And like I said, maybe the flaps would have, but the wind was 13 miles an hour, so I didn't feel like I needed flaps. So maybe the flaps would have helped that problem. It didn't seem to be much of an issue on the first flight when I did land with flaps. Now to the mix. So the mix I had on the first flight was too much, because like I commented, it had nose up pitch. Remember, in the maiden flight, it had nose down pitch when I dropped flaps with no mix. So I put the mix in, and the mix was at 6 and 13 negative on a DX8 Gen 2. So on the second flight, I dropped that to 4 and 9. And that 4 and 9 seemed to be pretty close. I did drop the flaps while I was in flight, and I didn't notice any nose up or nose down pitch. So that seems, even though I didn't land with flaps, that 4 and 9% seem to be about where you need to be as far as your elevator mix when you drop flaps. So, yeah, I mean, as far as, man, I just cannot, that thing is fast. It's definitely faster than my BAE Hawk, and that's also an 80 millimeter, and I think that it's as fast as the Scorpion, and that's a 90 millimeter. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, that was the first time I flew at full throttle, and that thing will flat scoot. So yeah, guys, any comments? I hope I'm able to help some of you out with the mix. Any of you guys that are experiencing that nose down pitch when you drop gear, I mean, like I said, I did not I did not notice that in the maiden flight. So that's something that has something that I picked up. I don't know what's causing it. And also I have no idea what happened to the elevator. I didn't notice uh, that that flight characteristics in the maiden flight. Now I did take off in safe on the maiden flight, so that probably helped that situation a little bit. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe I didn't really notice it because I didn't. I took off in safe mode, and that maiden flight, I really didn't. I wasn't flying it. I was about 50% throttle, which is pretty close to where I was today on the first flight. So maybe that's why it didn't really show up in that maiden flight. But yeah. So, and I know I probably should have put it in safe to land on that second flight. That probably would have helped out there. I don't know if you noticed, if you watched that video, right right before I pulled it up, that thing was gonna pound the runway, and yeah, I would have done some serious damage to that thing. But I was able to pull it up, give it a little bit of throttle, and then managed to set it down in the grass. Um, so yeah, that was both those flights today were pretty exciting. Uh, yeah, give me your comments, guys. Hope I'm able to help somebody out with the mixes. At least I think I have that part fixed. That nose down on the gear, though, that is really strange. I thought about maybe putting a mix in there when I drop the gear to elevator mix, but then if I use flaps, it kind of defeats that purpose altogether. So I think I'm just gonna leave it alone. Maybe on the times that I have to land without flaps, I'll put it in safe mode, or just if I leave it in normal mode, I'll just trim it manually and when I'm on final. So I don't know. We'll get it figured out. Anyway, I want to say that thing right there is awesome. Today was really the first time that I know that maiden was in April. And ever since I got those babies right there, I haven't really had much time for the jets. But I'm gonna tell you what, that thing right there is a beast, and that thing will flat haul ass through the air. There's no questions about that. Today's really the first time that I was able to get it out and put it through its paces. But whew, that thing right there, it kicks butt, ladies and gentlemen. All right, give me your comments. Hope this helps some people. We'll see you next time on the flight deck. Iceman out.